Hello and welcome to a new episode of Pimp My Gun. Today we are pimping the HK417 GBBR, obviously. This one is converted to HPA, but the fix for the hop I'm gonna show is actually independent of if you use HPA or use the regular green gas or any other gas in the regular gas mags. Mod will be exactly the same. What is important is that I have here a Gen 2 gun. Gen 2 is different in many aspects from Gen 1, but the most important point that I will focus on today is the hop-up itself. Yeah, so to explain, if you don't know, if you have Gen 1 or Gen 2, Gen 1 had the hop-up setting from this direction, so you had like extremely long hop-up key, you insert it and you twist it, and the Gen 2 has it from the front through the gas block. And for these of you who have the Generation 1, then watch the video anyway, and at the end I will explain what to do to make it a Generation 2, basically buy all the proper components and replace them. So this is applicable also to you. This gun is huge and I cannot put it right now in the screen completely, let's say, but when I'll get into the mod you will see what I mean. Another important thing is that actually there are many Gen 2s regarding the small details on them. And because Gen 2 originally started when G28 was released, there was a limited run and it already had this hop-up. So from the hop-up perspective we have two versions. First one is the original Gen 2 for the HK417, and then there came another improvement, let's say, which officially is not named Gen 3 or anything, but it's the same exact chamber as we have in M110. So I already made some videos about the M110, how to improve the hop-up. I already made a video on the HK416's old generations, how to make a hop-up retro mod, but here it will be like a combination of both. I wanted to show you this mod a long time ago, but my guns are already modded, let's say, and it's hard to get your hands on one of these. It's far less popular than the M110s are, and I can see the reason, because it's like the size is probably similar, but it's much heavier, the magazines are much bigger, you don't have the ambidextrous wonders, only the selector, and so on and so on. So I can understand that this gun is not as popular as the M110s. But still, it's a really cool gun and I really like it. It's the first GBBR I ever had. Of course not this one, I had two Gen 1s and both of them have these hop-up mods actually. Okay, enough of the history, let's have a look into the hop-ups and first understand what is good or bad about them, and then I will explain how to do the mod and what's going on there. So for this reason we will need only the upper receiver, so I'm gonna take off the lower. The gun will be just a bit shorter and easier to handle, and we will focus on the front assembly, of course. This is the 20-inch version, really nice. So first, let's take off the rail and let's look into the hop, how it's made in general, and then I will explain some details. So we have two screws here, like nothing fancy or tricky. I believe everybody knows how to disassemble it. So one screw goes out, okay, second screw goes out, and now we can pull off the rail, and depending on the gun it can go a little harder or easier, so I'll do it off screen. Okay, so the rail is off, and I did not say it, but I guess this is obvious, this mod is for all the barrel length versions, yeah, because they only differ with barrel extension, yeah, and this whole part is the same in all Gen 2 HK417s. The way how it works is that we have this guide rod, yeah, the guide hop from VFC. It goes all the way into the chamber and moves the hop-up arm. You set it through a hex key, you insert it in here, so you see how it moves, yeah, when I twist it, this is pulled in and out. And actually it's not so bad on its own, because it doesn't have too much freedom, yeah. In the HK416s it's like moving like crazy. Yeah, here it's a little better, but still it is not good enough. For one reason, it's very flexible. Yeah, so you see on high hop settings this will bend, and second thing, you will see when I assemble it that there is a locating pin, so that the cam that is in the gas block that mimics the gas valve doesn't move out. It has a break in the middle, and the thread that moves this arm, let's say this worm screw cam, basically sometimes jams and wears out very easily. So this all you will see in a moment. Okay, so what do we do now? Now we just need to push in the gas piston, it goes out. There is a spring here inside, so you want to be careful not to lose it. In the mod we will not need it, but if it's there, it's good to have it. Then we need to unscrew this big nut, and here I should be able to do it by hand, but maybe you will be needing some kind of tool to do it. Let's see. Okay, I was able to. Okay, and now we can remove the outer barrel, very long one in this case, as I said already, and the inner barrel assembly. So the rest of the gun is not needed. And first we will focus on the chamber and the barrel extension, then we will focus on this part. For this part we will use some printed parts, some screws and so on. For this we will use original VFC parts with some small adjustments. So let's see. Okay, so how this chamber is made, there is this rubber dampening feature on it, on the barrel extension, and we can use it, or maybe we don't need to, honestly I don't know. In M110 they stopped putting this in, you just get this assembly, and M110 internally is identical to HK417, so up to you. You can have it, you can remove it, probably it's not a big difference. Okay, so first we need to unscrew these two screws, and I will be able to show you some important thing. Okay, when they are partially unscrewed, you can slide this out of the barrel extension, and here we have our hop-up chamber. This is already modified hop-up chamber because as usual I was doing some work and I realized that it might be actually nice to make a video out of this, and I stopped and I need to, let's say, catch back what I was doing. So here you see I have this kind of steel arm. It's molded steel, let's say, of course hardened, very nice component. So this is the best hop-up arm you can put into the HK417 or M110. I have a video on M110 where I actually do exact same mod but for the M110, but here I'm gonna explain it again. So this is the latest chamber. If you look on an older chamber like this one, this plastic is broken, you see, but the chamber itself is very similar. They are both Gen 2. This is the new Gen 2, this is the old one. The difference is in the hop-up arm here, because this one is one-piece steel and it's extremely stiff and strong, and this is from bended steel and it's not as strong and it has a lot of shitty clearance. Yeah. So if you have an older Gen 2, it will come with this kind of chamber, and there will be a pin like an axis here, you see, and this steel arm will be inside. You can imagine that when you shoot and so on, the steel arm probably can bend, and it's very loose. Yeah, you see when I move it, it moves to the sides and so on. If you try to, let's say, unbend these arms to the sides, you will notice that it doesn't really help much. It still moves after a few shots, so it's basically a shitty solution. So if you have this kind of chamber, the best is to buy this part. Yeah, this is original VFC part. I will put the part number in the description, and you can actually drop it in directly here. Yeah, so this will fit with no modifications. You just need to pull out this pin rod and of course remove the original one, the steel sheet metal one, and you can drop in this one. This one is better for a number of reasons. I said already about the stiffness, the shape is better, but also if you look closely, again let's make a zoom, it has these tiny ribs on this side and on this side, which cut into the sides of the chamber here and prevent it from moving due to vibration. Yeah, so it's the best you can get. Second generation, if you have it with this type of knob, just get yourself this one and you will be almost good. Yeah. Second thing is I have a modification here. I will disassemble it to show you very quickly. The same issue as we have in the M110. If we just take the arm and mount it there, it will have extremely low hop-up range for the settings. Yeah, so you will have some power and you will not be able to set hop-up optimally for this power, especially that with such a long barrel you probably are going for some DMR, not just like 1 joule, yeah, so something higher than this. Okay, so if I remove those two screws, you see, I can slide off the plastic part, I can open the chamber, and here we are. So this arm compared to this one is modified a bit. You see I filed it on this side. This is the, let's say, BB side, this is the cam side, because if you don't do it, then these corners will hit the barrel extension wall. I try to show it in a moment, and it will limit your setting for the hop. Yeah, so you want to file it in such a way that if you look from this perspective, if it's like spherical. Yeah, I will explain in a moment. And normally they come with these tips sharp, so I basically took a flat file and, you know, I filed it off. Yeah, nothing special. So this is what you want to do before you mount it. So I already did it in mine, I can put it in. So let's assemble this back really quickly. So the barrel. With this barrel, this is actually also something I could note. Here you can see that this cutout is kind of big compared to the size of the rib here. Yeah, because this is not a standard WE GBBR barrel. I don't know what this is exactly, but I don't know if it will not be a problem in the future. The best is that you use the GBBR dedicated barrels, the WE standard, not some VSR or any other weird stuff like we have here. But in this case, at least we have some steel on the side of the hop-up backing, so maybe it will be fine. Okay, so I'll close the chamber. I can already screw one of the screws here, it will be a little easier, it will not fall apart. Okay, make sure that the barrel is straight, yeah, not rotated. And then I can slide on this plastic part and add the second screw. And this assembly is ready. So you see I have here this arm, and in general the performance will be much better. If I try to move it, you will see that it kind of is still loose, yeah, but when I tighten it with the screws on the barrel extension, this will push the chamber together from the sides and squeeze that part on the top to, you know, lose this wobble, yeah. And if you have the newer Gen 2 hop-up chamber, which is this one, then all you need to do is just take this part out and file it the same way I did here to increase the range of the setting, which you will need, but you don't need to replace anything. So now I can put it into the barrel extension, and here is the second part, because I have here two barrel extensions, and you can see if I lift them up that the lug on the top here is bigger here, and here is almost like non-existent. This is the old barrel extension, this is the new one, both Gen 2. Actually, barrel extension in Gen 2 was the same as in Gen 1. Why this is different? Because you can imagine if you have this steel arm with the pin and you put the chamber, then this locking lug doesn't collide with it, yeah, because it's empty, it's just like a surface shape, and it can go over the rod here, yes. So I can basically insert this, yeah, and it goes through. If I try this on the steel arm here, it's much thicker, it's bigger, so I will not be able to slide it through, yeah, it will jam, and that's it. So in those newer chambers and barrel extensions dedicated for this new type of the knob here, you have this reduced size of this locking lug so that it slides over. If you have the old one, so the Gen 2 basically, with the steel sheet metal hop-up knob, then you can just file it off, yeah? You don't need to buy a new one, it's no difference actually. if you look in detail, you can see that this is exact same part that somebody machined out. Yeah, it's perfectly fine. In my guns, I had the old ones, I just filed it off. So let's put this old one aside. I have the new one for this gun, so I will use it. And you see, without any issue, I can slide it through and I can secure it with those 2 screws. Okay, and then I put this rubber on. This rubber gets some imprints from the slide, yeah, when you are using it. So if you are like seeing that it's completely damaged, you can basically, you know, put it like this or like this. Yeah, it can be put like this and it's brand new from this side. It's no difference. So this was the mod of the hop-up chamber itself. It's identical to the mod I showed for the M110 in the video on how to increase the range. Yeah. Oh, and I was supposed to show you one more thing. So now also you can see why we needed to file off the steel part. So the steel part is there in the gap. Now you probably understand how this locking lug was also colliding with it. And now you see that when I push it like up from the front, these corners would cut into the sides of this barrel extension. Right now it's a little, let's say, curved, so they are not doing this. Yeah, I could maybe even file this to be a flatter circle, yeah, but I did it like I did, so it's not so bad. And basically I get some more range this way. Yeah, you can file more if the range is still not enough for you. So this was everything for the hop-up chamber. It's identical to the M110 mod, how to increase the hop-up range. Yeah, basically I did the exact same thing on the HK417. Okay, so to recap, if you have the Gen 2 with the old hop-up knob, then buy yourself a new one, file off the corners, mount it into the chamber, like remove the old one, of course, the pin, yeah, mount it into the chamber, file off the locking lug on the top of barrel extension, assemble everything together, and you're good to go. If you have the newer version and you already have this in stock, then just reassemble, like disassemble everything, file it like I showed, put it back, and you are good to go. And remember that you need to modify the nozzle so that it doesn't hit on this kind of hop-up knob. For this, see my new video. Actually, VFC noticed this issue, and in the latest releases I've seen, they have the cutout on the nozzle the exact way I explained it in my video. So for the mod, I have here a few printed parts and few parts from like a hardware store. These printed parts are the barrel stiffener. There are 2 halves of it. I will be using 2 of those. There is the gas valve part, there is the slider part, and the gas piston blocker. I will also use these kind of screws, 4 of them. The spherical head M3x6. I will be using M3 brass threaded inserts, and 1 screw M3x10 with the cylindrical head, plus a piece of plastic. All the parts I printed of PLA, they are not like, you know, loaded or anything, it's good enough. Only the worm screw will be like susceptible to wear due to friction, so it's good to use something strong and hard. Therefore I use the PLA, yeah? And it's simple material, easy to print, and works just fine. So I have it all. I will put these parts aside and I will do later some preparation of them. Yeah, all the links to the printed parts are in the description as always. There is also the list of these components. And now let's disassemble the original hop-up system to see exactly what's so bad about this. You can imagine this is bad, this is bad, but step after step. The best would be to start with removal of barrel extension, but very often they kind of Loctite it and it's hard to remove it, so we will try do it without this. Yeah, so what do we need to do? We need to remove this pin here on the top. There is a small one, you see, it's shiny. Okay, so we need to punch it out. Goes pretty easily. Remember the side from which I punched it. Yeah, so let's put it aside. And now this whole part can be, let's say, taken out. Okay, and then we can pull this whole assembly to the back. Okay, here bend it higher because it collides. Okay, and voila, we removed those two parts. Yeah. Why this system, I said, is bad? Because you see, first of all, this is made of some soft plastic, and hop-up setting happens by like putting the hex key in here. And in my Gen 2, I wanted some higher hop-up setting. I twisted it and it started to rotate in this plastic part. So not the best solution. That's the first thing. Second thing is that you can see how this worm screw type of cam moves. Yeah, sometimes it happens that on this transition where the pin goes through, yeah, so that it doesn't slide out, it kind of jams, and then there is an issue. You cannot go through, and basically you can strip this thread. So not such a good option. So this is what I don't like. Of course, I don't like the flexi feature here, and also it will not give me enough hop up, so I will need to increase the range somehow. Okay, so this part we can also pull out, and now maybe we can start with it. So on mine you can see there is this writing patent pending, and I need to remove it, because what I will do later, I will use these kind of barrel stiffeners to hold this down to the barrel, so to cancel this bending movement, and it will, you know, have a hard way to slide over these letters. So there are like number of ways how you can remove it. You can use a sharp knife, or you can just file it. I will just file it. Sorry VFC, I appreciate that you are making cool patents, but this writing was not in a good place. And that's cool, yeah? It's removed. Now, these two parts we will not use at all. Also this small pin, so we can put them like completely aside. But what we will use here is this O-ring. So we need to take it out. This O-ring is basically used to cancel some clearance. We will use it on our modified part for this gas block, yeah, or the gas piston actually. So now let's do parts preparation, and we started with this one. We filed off the writing, right? So we will add a piece of plastic here like this to increase the hop up range, because right now, from my experience, if you assemble it, the hop on 0 will be through like half of the setting range, and then it will start to, you know, add up. But for a DMR it will never reach a good setting, because there is not this arm is not, let's say, long enough to lift that hop up knob. So very simply, the same way as we did it with M110, although there we did it on a metal arm, we just need to generate some scratches, yeah, with some sharp tool. It can be file, it can be knife, whatever, just to increase like glue adhesion, yeah. So I do some scratches here, and I take my piece of plastic. This is 1 millimeter thick. From my experience, I know it should be enough, one layer. Obviously, in your case, if this is not enough, you can do more. I apply some Loctite type quick glue, yeah. Okay, and I glue it so that it goes higher and like extends higher and lower, like on top, on bottom, and it also extends to the sides, yeah. I will wait until it sets, and then I can nicely cut out shape of this arm. Now the second side is cut off. I will even it out with a file in a moment. Now the top, so like here, and the bottom I will also do with a file. So very simply. And the top the same. And if we look from the side, now this top surface is just elongated, this one is offsetted, yeah, and on the bottom we have nice shape that will go under the hop-up knob. So this part is ready. Now we will need to prepare the gas piston, and for this we will use the O-ring that was here. I removed it, yeah, so we want to put it here into the groove. That's the first thing. Okay, it will cancel some clearance, and then we want to take this screw, and this screw will be inside of the gas valve from the front, so it will be the interface for the hop up, for the hex key, to rotate this to allow for hop up setting. For this reason, we need to glue it firmly inside so that it doesn't rotate. So I'm adding this way kind of, you know, scratches and grooves on the screw head so that the glue has the good adhesion again. Because of course, you know, otherwise you can unscrew this from the plastic and you will not be able to set up the hop. But if we add the steel part in, then we will have practically invincible hop up setting possibility, not like we have with the plastic that can be very easily torn. So now I have my markings and I'm gonna take the hop up, the hex key, and put it in here, screw it all the way in, so it goes all the way in. And now to make it a bit better attachment, we will apply this glue in the clearance in between the screw and the part. Like this. Let's wait for this to settle. The O-ring is in place, so this part is ready. Then we have these parts. They come in pairs, so one would look like this. Second one is identical. And how we will assemble it later with those M3 screws, we will screw them together, yeah. But we need to add some threads so that they close like nicely. If you look on the parts, they have one hole that is bigger on this side for the screw head, and on the other side there is this hole for the threaded inserts. So we need to push them in or melt them in here, and one goes for each of these parts. So you can imagine here the screw, here the screw, here the brass nut, here the brass nut. So the brass nuts I have prepared. So here you can see I have all 4 parts, they all have the inserts. And remember to make this side flat, yeah? If you hot press it with soldering iron like I did, this could deform, so you want to have it flat. So with the parts prepared, we can start the assembly. Here we will still have to do some fitting because these parts are printed to have minimal clearances, let's say, because obviously you want the hop up to be as tight as possible. So probably we will need to file a part or 2, yeah? Here I have on top everything I will use, so the original parts not necessarily. Oh, this spring is also not needed. Okay, and now we will start to put this together. So first thing, this should fit here, yeah? So if I put it like this, you see I have quite a good fitting. I can actually glue this in place in a moment, yeah? Just a little bit of glue I could add. But before I do it, I need to make sure that this part slides in here nicely. So mine doesn't. In this case I will need to file this side. Obviously it was printed like this, lying with support, so it's not fully flat. So flat file and do some work. I got here some nice fitting, so I can push it in, take it out, it doesn't move to the sides, that's what I need. So in this case we will put this arm first the way we took it out, so let's slide it here under the barrel nut. Yeah, and into the groove. Let's put this onto this side, slightly like this. Okay, and we can first come here and assemble this part like that. Yeah. For final assembly you want to put loop here, so I'm kind of certain about my final assembly, so I'll do it immediately. Okay, so this one moves nicely. When this one fits and smoothly moves in and out, you want to put in the new gas valve with the O-ring. See, mine is already filed pretty much, yeah, because you want to have smooth action. I will show you what smooth action means in a minute, but first I will add some lube on top of this, here and there. The most important is to have it in this warm cam, because otherwise it will be very hard to set the hop. It will not move smoothly, it will like jump, yeah, from one position to another, and this is not what you want to have a precise hop up setting. Yeah? So I fill it out completely with the grease. You see here, I'll move the arm back, right, and then I can put this all in. This O-ring maybe actually is not even necessary if you file this properly, yeah, but if we already have it, then we can use it. Okay, so I push it all in, and now you can see when I take the hex key, I find the screw in there. You see I can start to rotate this, and the hop-up setting will change, yeah, and this goes quite smoothly with no jumping because I have a lot of grease here. I need to hold it with my finger. Now I'm not using this pin, yeah, so to move it back, no problem. So the difficult part of the mod is ready. Now we can actually put this into the upper receiver. So you know how it goes. First the inner barrel with the chamber. Make sure this rubber, if you use it, goes in nicely. Oh, I pushed out the slide, and then this whole assembly goes in. Okay, and now screw the barrel nut. And with the barrel nut you really want to screw it tightly, don't do it just by hand, yeah? And now that we have this part ready, we will mount these clamps. Simply one goes on top, one goes below. When you assemble them, of course you need to do it so that the screw and the brass inserts are on one side, so like this, yeah? Here I have the brass insert, here I have the hole for screw, here it's the opposite. And I will put them both here. Okay, so I have my two rings on. One I put as far to the end as possible. Second one I put here. And of course you probably need to file it or something, yeah, because check this out. What you want to have is that you, when you try to like rotate this, yeah, you can do it and it slides through and it's not loose, yeah. Right now I'm not able to bend this arm up. This is exactly what I wanted to achieve, yeah, so this is modded properly. But what happens, you see, is that this slides out, and this is the last thing we will fix. So for this we need to insert the piston, and here I have this part called the blocker, which you basically need to push in here. Okay, and right now what will happen is that the piston cannot move forwards or backwards because it's blocked here, and will hold this in position. So if I rotate it right now, this is exactly like the retro hop mod for HK417. You see how it moves and it goes back, and the gas valve does not come out anymore, yeah? Here, depending on the quality of the print and ton of other things, the tolerances, etc., you might need different lengths of this part. So take the one I have uploaded and basically print it standing. You can scale it in Z to increase or decrease the length accordingly, yeah? In my case it's exactly like needed, there's absolutely no clearance, so all is good. So what is left is to assemble the gun back. First the rail will go on, then those two screws, let's say the signature of the HK417. And now before we finish, we will take out the bolt carrier with the nozzle, and remember to make a cutout in this area from the video I have linked in the description. When you do it, just put the lower receiver on. Of course, the best with HK GBBR conversion from Frog Engineering. So this is how you mod the hop-up in the HK417, the second generation. As I said, there are two versions, but before we finish, I will touch quickly about the first generation. Actually, I have my old chambers from first generation. You see this steel hop-up knob on top. Here the regulation or setting of the hop was from the front. There was a sliding element, there is the screw underneath, and you access this screw from this side, so from the rear, and you could set it back and forth. This was terrible design. This is another chamber like that which actually broke apart, you see. It was completely unstable. and extremely bad. Yeah, so if you have the first generation though, it's not like you need to buy the complete new gun. What you can do is do exact same mods that I showed here, but for this you need first thing the hop-up chamber, barrel extension you can file on the top to accommodate the original one, but you will also need the complete outer barrel assembly with the gas block, with the barrel, with that groove on the top, yeah, the plastic arm between them, so a lot of parts. I will have a look if the part list for the second generation is on the VFC web. If yes, then I will put also a part list what you would need to have in order to make the hop-up right in the first generation. Yeah, then just replace those parts and follow the guide which I just recorded. Thank you so much for now. I hope you liked it. This is a really cool gun. I really like the HK417. This is the first one I ever had, as I said, and I really would appreciate more of them on the fields. Yeah, it's like really cool thing. Hopefully with this mod you can make it shoot properly and improve it, yeah, so that it's more usable. Thank you for watching, thank you for your time. Leave the comments, what do you think about the video, how you liked it, leave likes, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and soon there will be more videos coming, so be prepared for them. And for the moment, may the power of GBBR be with you.